can go ahead and begin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to speak to everyone today. My name again is Tamika Carson. I am a procurement manager with the Department of Procurement and Contracts at the Chicago Housing Authority. And today I'm hoping to just provide you with some helpful information about doing business with the CHA. So the CHA is the third largest public housing agency in the U.S. We serve more than 63,000 families. And as a public agency, our main mission and goal is to provide safe, affordable housing to our residents and to serve as a vehicle to prepare them and to help them to move towards self-sufficiency with our supportive services. Okay. And so the CHA's procurement authority is governed by three factors. The first is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, better known as HUD. We are governed by their Code of Federal Regulations, which you can see here. In addition to HUD's Code of Federal Regulations, we are also required to operate in accordance with the HUD's procurement handbook as well. And lastly, we are governed by CHA's Procurement Policy and Procedures Manual. I'm going to talk a little bit about how do you become a CHA vendor? What is it that you need to do to become a vendor and to do business with the CHA? So to become a vendor, the first step that you need to take is to register in our supplier portal. That registration gets you access to email notifications of new bid opportunities, which include requests for proposals, any invitations for bids, and also requests for quotes. In addition, you get direct access to our contract opportunities, and you can communicate directly with our staff during the solicitation process. So those are just some of the benefits and some of the access you'll get once you register with CHA Supplier Portal. Okay. So to access our portal, you need to go to CHA's website. It's www.thecha.org. Once you get to that website, there'll be a link at the top right that says Doing Business. Once you hover over that link, it will provide a drop down for you, and you're going to click on the link that says Doing Business. And oh, sorry, you're going to click on the link that says Supplier Portal. So you'll click the Doing Business link. It'll bring down a drop down, and then you're going to click the Supplier Portal link. Okay. And so that is going to take you to our landing page here for the Supplier Portal. You're going to click the link that's highlighted here that says click here to access the Supplier Portal. Okay. Oops. Okay, and so this is the landing page of the actual portal. This is where you would go once, if you're a first-time vendor, you would click register, or you can log in here. And so on this landing page, it does give you just some bullet points on what you'll be able to access once you register and log into this portal. Okay, so how do you find the solicitations that we've put out on the street for CHA? So there's a couple of places where you can find it. The first is the CHA website. Again, that's thecha.org. We do post our complete solicitation documents to our website. That is for our formal solicitations, RFPs, IFBs, and also for our request for quotes or qualifications. Any addendums or changes to those solicitations are also posted to our website, and also the information regarding the contact person for each specific solicitation is also listed there as well. We do provide legal notices or emails. We do advertise in the newspaper, the Sun Times, and then also some communications for our less formal solicitations, like the request for quotes. We do communicate via email for those. So, we would reach out to some of our vendors who are registered in our supplier portal, and we may email less formal solicitations like the request for quotes to you. And then lastly, again, the CHA portal, our supplier portal. So you must register to access the portal again. You can download full copies of of any of our solicitation documents, RFPs, IFBs from that portal. You're able to ask questions directly to our staff through that portal. And also at this time, we're not taking manual submissions. So if you did want to submit a proposal or a bid, you do have to do that electronically through our supplier portal. Okay, so next I'm going to go into talking a little bit about responding to our solicitations. Again, you have to register, in our supplier portal. Like I said earlier, you can read the full solicitation document from there. Some things to look out for and to pay close attention to is make sure that you follow the response format and read the solicitation document in its entirety and read the contents and instructions for submittal. Complete and submit all the requested documents. We provide you with a checklist to ensure that you are providing us with all the documents that we require. You want to also make sure to sign and notarize any documents that require that. So make sure you pay close attention to those things and notarize anything that's required. And also to provide another point to remember is to provide proof of insurance for all services, and bid bonds must be included for construction solicitations. If there are any changes, updates, edits to our solicitations, those will be done by way of an addendum. Again, we do post our addendums to the supplier portal as well as to our website, and we want to make sure that you acknowledge any of those changes that we have made to our solicitations after they've been released by signing and submitting those addendums with your package when you respond. Next, a very important point is to make sure that you submit your response on time. We do not accept late proposals. We do highly encourage you to submit responses early to ensure that if there's any technical difficulties or any issues that you have with the portal, that you're able to resolve those prior to the submission deadline. So make sure that you plan to submit in enough time to meet our deadlines, because we will not accept any late proposals. And then lastly, when in doubt, ask a question. We have staff that you can ask questions through the portal. You can contact us directly. We do publish that information and include it on our website. So you can reach out to us if you have any questions. Okay. So this is just giving you some information on some commonly procured items and services that we purchased at the CHA. So some of those commodities are computer supplies, office supplies, apparel, promotional items. And for professional services, some of our commonly procured items are architectural and engineering services, construction, legal services, and environmental services. Okay, so now we're going to talk about MWDBE, Minority Women and Disadvantaged Business Enterprises. CHA does have MWDBE requirements. Our requirements are based on contract types. For construction contracts, there are levels to the MWDBE commitment that are required, and that's based on the value of the contract, which you can see at your top right of this slide. So construction projects between 25 and 200,000 require 25% MWDBE participation. 2,000 to 500 is 30%. 500 to 1 million is 35%, and anything 1 million and $1 over is 40%. For our for remaining contract types, which would be professional services and supply and delivery, anything 25,000 and above has a 20% MWDBE participation requirement. If a contract is less than $25,000, then MWDBE goals do not apply. Some of the required documents here to document your MWDBE participation are listed here, and these are all also available on our website. And those are the Schedule A, which is the MWDBE utilization plan. Your Schedule C is a letter of intent for the prime and any subcontractors, a letter of certification of your MWDBE status. And in rare instances, we will consider a waiver request for that requirement, but those are approved on a case-by-case basis. So next, we're going to talk about Davis-Bacon and related acts. So the Davis-Bacon Act is a federal law that establishes the requirement for paying local prevailing wage on all public work projects for laborers and mechanics. It applies to contractors as well as subcontractors performing on any federal funded or assisted contracts in excess of $2,000 for construction, alteration, or repair. And this is including painting and decorating and of any of public buildings or public works. So just to, I know that's a lot, but to highlight the most important points, Davis-Bacon is required for construction contracts over $2,000. Those include construction contracts that include alteration, repair, painting, and decorating. It applies to all laborers and mechanics. And again, the whole purpose is that you are required to pay prevailing wages as well as fringes. And we do at the CHA, our compliance team will complete unannounced site visits, and those to confirm that you are adhering to the Davis-Bacon Act, and those are conducted throughout the duration of the construction work. So next, I'm going to talk about our Section 3 requirements, and we're going to talk about what Section 3 is. So Section 3 is a provision of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. And the purpose of the Section 3 Act is to ensure that employment and other economic opportunities that are generated from HUD financial assistance, that those funds are directed toward low and very low income persons and to business concerns which provide economic opportunity to low and very low income persons. So we service as the housing authority, our residents are low and very low income persons. So we are required to provide financial assistance and economic opportunities to them by way of this Section 3 provision. So a Section 3 worker is any worker who currently fits or when hired within the past 5 years fits at least one of the following categories. So the worker's income for the previous or the annualized calendar year is below the income limit established by HUD. The worker is employed by a Section 3 business concern, or the worker is a youth build participant. So that's the first of the Section 3 requirements in categories as a Section 3 worker. Next is a Section 3 targeted worker for public housing financial assistance programs. And so a targeted Section 3 worker is one that is employed by a Section 3 business concern, or they currently fit or when hired fit at least one of the following categories as documented within the past 5 years. So they're either a resident of public housing or Section 8 assisted housing, a resident of other public housing projects or Section 8 assisting housing managed by CHA, or a youth build participant. Next is the Section 3 business concern. What is a Section 3 business concern and how do you qualify to be a Section 3 business concern? So a Section 3 business concern is a business that meets at least one of the following criteria, and this has to be documented within the last 6-month period. So 51 or more % of that business is owned by low or very low income persons. You can also qualify as a Section 3 business concern if over 75% of the labor hours performed for the business over the prior 3-month period are performed by Section 3 workers. And lastly, you would qualify as a Section 3 business concern if at least 51% is owned and controlled by current public housing residents or participants who currently receive assistance through our HCV program, which is our housing choice voucher. Okay, so that is going to end my presentation for today. I'd like to thank you for your attention. What you see here is some of our contact information for some of our department and contract leadership. Our deputy chief is Sheila Johnson. Our director of procurement is Latasha Bowden. And we have a second director of procurement who is over construction. That is Chris Stinson. And then we also have a director of compliance, Ms. Deborah King. And so their contact information via email is provided here. And our central office is located at 60 East Van Buren Street with additional contact information there. Thank you again for your attention. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jackie. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tamika. And
You're
that was a wonderful presentation. And our next speaker is Lori Lipson, and she's going to take you through the Public Building Commission. Lori, you should have control.
Are you able to see the full screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lori Lipson. I am with the Public Building Commission of Chicago, and we're going to go over some key things to do business with the PBC. As Tamika mentioned, we're all sister agencies, and we have many shared things. So I will go over quickly some of the topics Tamika already went over, but most people don't know who the PBC is. We are a public developer. Our first project, if you're from Chicago, is the Daly Center on Washington, and we can do full service. We can own, operate buildings, build, construct, renovate, land acquisition. And so many of the projects that you know across the city have been completed by the Public Building Commission. Our mission is to make sure that our clients, which typically would include CHA, the city, could be the Park District, CTA, that we design and make sure that our construction reflects the highest standards of environmental and economic sustainability. And what we mean by economic sustainability is to make sure women and minority-owned businesses get a fair share, including the workers. As I mentioned, some of the people that we've worked with previously are on the screen. Our favorite is CHA, of course, since I have my partner on the line. But as you can see, we've done work with the Cook County, various sister agencies, and along with that, various city agencies. So if you see some of our work, it's police stations, fire stations. We've done 31st Street Harbor, Chinatown Library, and some of the work you wouldn't see because they might be mechanical buildings or assessments. So the PBC, almost in lockstep with CHA, we make sure that we procure our services using a competitive process. And we mostly, 80% of our goods are construction related. We are governed by the PBC Act, which is a state act. Many people get it confused because we work for all our city agencies, but we have a different procurement code in the state, and we are a separate agency. Some of the services that I want to discuss today and give you some examples. We procure architect services, engineers, traffic surveyors, engineering services, geotech. We do, like I said, land acquisition, FF&E, demolition, renovation, all the things that would help and assist our clients, which I showed you on the previous screen, have a successful projects. Similar to Tamika, we have RFP, we have RFQs. Sometimes we combine them, RFQP. We have just a very few contracts under 25,000, and majority of our projects are either invitation to bid, or we'll get a little bit into it, construction manager at risk and design build. Our RFP is similar to all sister agencies, which is basically a request for proposal. The one thing that most people need to realize is that you have an evaluation team that is reading over your proposal, and you want to make sure that you hit all your I's and cross all your T's. So that would make sure that you're reading your RFP or your RFQ to make sure you included all the things. Most of the information that all our agencies are requesting are you qualified? Do you have experience in that area as you submit your proposal? So the firms that are on the line, I looked at, a couple of them have done business, I know, with either CHA or PBC, and they have a breadth and depth of their bench. So you want to make sure as you start filling out these RFPs and RFQs, you have bios for things of your key staff, because almost every RFP asks for key staff. You want to make sure your insurance is up to date. You want to make sure all your requisite license are up to date, because all those things are important when you're filling it out. More importantly, if you're an MBE or WBE firm, you want to make sure that your current certification or the website is available and is updated and easy for folks to look at. Sometimes when we do the RFP and RFQ, we're asking for not only are you experienced, but we also want to know how much is this going to cost us. In some RFQs and Ps, there's a negotiation period. Sometimes there's not. It just depends. So you want to make sure you read and detail that accordingly. Especially you want to take notice of if they say best and final offer. All those little things you really want to take a look at as you start working with all of the agencies. One thing that is different, and I know a few agencies have this, is our letter of interest and qualifications for our architect and engineering services. And what that is we really want our architects and engineers to pretty much put together a portfolio and let us know, what do you do? Do you do K through 12? Do you do higher learning? Do you mainly focus on renovations? Is your mainstay MEP or HVAC work? Whatever that is, put that together. So as we're looking at projects, there's some people that we can pull down right away and get working with. A little different than probably what the city can do on some things. But for professional services, we can go directly to our board, or we can have a process similar to our Morgan Shoal project on the lakefront that we did a whole process of interviewing. So again, make sure if you are architect or engineer that you fill out an LIQ and get on our list on our website. As I mentioned earlier, there's a few methods of the ways we procure construction. The most popular way, which most people are familiar with, is our invitation to bid. And what this is, it's basically we give you the drawings that the architect has already prepared, and you fill it out as the contractor and say, I can do this for this particular price. And that's it. We take the lowest responsive bidder. The other method that we use is typically called construction manager at risk. Is design build. Let me go to that one first. And in design build, it's when the architect and the contractor come together and they propose a project, all the requirements and all the design to us, and we evaluate that as a team. The reason we like design build, and one example I give you is, you'll see it coming up, is Chinatown Library or our engine company 115. We have a gist of what we want to build, but we want the architect and the general contractor to come together to say, hey, this is how we can enhance it. These are some of our innovations that we can do to make this a perfect project for the city. And it allows them to work together and do constructability reviews. There's a lot of benefits to design build. The other method that I talked about is called construction manager at risk. And for those following us now, we've probably gone out with 8 projects so far. And that works well too, especially on our renovation projects. One of our highlights from last year was our engine company 115 on the south side on 119th. And what we did with this project, it was a design build project. We went out and requested proposals. And the team that came back was a minority-led team, and that included Ujamaa and Trice Construction. Ujamaa is a general contractor. Trice does do general contracting, but they focus a lot on concrete. And the way when we did that, it allowed for these 2 minority and women-owned companies to come together and really do a fantastic job. We had over 17 African-American companies work on the project, 7 Hispanic-owned construction firms, and 5 owned women business firms. Of course, we had community residents to make sure that not only are we building in our communities, that we're a reflection of our community. So that's one of the highlights that we want to make sure as we move into construction. It's just not about the building, it's also about the people it affects. As I mentioned, this is the construction services at risk. And again, this is a RFP. We just finished 2 of them as well. And this allows us again to make sure that we have an increased participation by minority and women-owned businesses to make sure they're successful. Similar to Tamika and the city, of course, we want to make sure that we have a high ethics in our contracting services. We do not accept gifts. We want to make sure there's no conflict of interest. And it's a little different, again, because we have a board. So we have plenty of board members, which includes our chair, the mayor, includes Cook County President Preckwinkle. So there's a lot of forms that contractors have to fill out to make sure there's no ethical violation with that. Most important, similar to what Tamika talked about, was our compliance. And we really take seriously our minority and women-owned goals. And what you see on the screen is the minimum. Typically, our goals are higher, and sometimes our goals may be lower depending on the scope of work. We may have a small scope of work where most of the job is materials and doesn't allow for increased participation. But for those projects similar to Engine Company 115, where there's multiple opportunities, we definitely increase, and we always look at this as a minimum. We do accept certifications from the city and the county, but if we do work for Tamika's for CHA, we do take other certifications because they use DBE. So we follow our clients in that manner. As I mentioned earlier, we ensure that the workplace for the construction is a reflection of the community. So we make sure that we have 50% city residency, and typically we have a community residency of 7.5% for those projects located in that area. What you can find, I know Jackie went over where you can find the hiring guide, the buying plan for the city, which includes some of our projects. But if you ever wanted to know what the total participation is, we have year-end reviews, which you can review, and it kind of goes over some of our projects. As you can see in the corner, Kenwood, Corliss are just two on this page, but it gives you the opportunity to look at what happened with the project, how much did it cost. And the reason that's important, especially for business owners that are on this call, is to find out what is the market for these services. And one way you can tell is past contracts. You can look up, because everything is transparent, you want to look up how much did that cost to build? How much did other people pay for the area that I'm working in? How much did they bid on that? And all that information is on the web. When we go out for a solicitation, we use our alert system as well, similar to the city. We also put it in the Sun Times, and we also have our respective social media. If you want to sign up for our alerts, when you go to our website, it's at the bottom of the screen. You just put in your email, and we will send you any upcoming solicitations or news regarding the PBC. We typically only send out when we have something. And so make sure that if you want to avail yourself to those services or want to find out more about the PBC, you can do that. What I stated a little while ago, especially for our contractors, are what I would do is look at previous bid tabulations, the city, and I know CHA is very good in doing that. You can look and start networking. You can look at the pre-submittal conference sign-in sheets. You can look and attend these pre-submittal conferences. The one good thing about the pandemic, I think, with the virtual technology, it's easier for people to go to pre-submittal conferences, especially when the city might have something, CHA might have something, CTA might have something, and PBC all at the same time. You can virtually look at it or watch the video later, as Jackie alluded to. Again, like I said, I would look at awarded contracts to see what the market is bearing right now as you put those bids together. And the one last thing that I think is helpful, you can look at our pay applications on our website. So for example, if you worked on Engine Company 115 and you wanted to see what's the status, all the pay applications are located on our website. So those are just some of the tips that I would encourage some of the contractors on the line to look at. We, of course, work with the same sister agencies and assist agencies that the city participates in. The contact information, again, bids@cityofchicago.com. Our phone number is listed on the screen. And I will turn it back over to Jackie for any questions or comments.
All right. Thank you so much, Lori, for that great presentation. And for those of you that would like to ask questions, feel free to do so at this time. Go down to your right-hand corner of your screen and click on Q&A and put your questions in the Q&A panel. We'll chat just a bit because there's no questions there right at the moment. And let me just see. There's none in my chat either. So yeah, go ahead and put it in the Q&A panel and we'll chat just a moment. I did want to go back to both of you and say, if there are any quick tips or any information that you recommend that they know, one or two things, if they took nothing away from this workshop, they should have gotten this. And if you could give me what this is, I will turn it over to Tamika first, and then I'll go to Lori and ask. The three most important things that you think that they should have gotten out of your presentation to help them to move forward.
For me, I think kind of like Lori said, just taking a look at definitely our website for any solicitations that are open. If you'd like some automatic notifications, definitely register for at our supplier portal. We'll send you that information out. We send email communications out once our solicitations are put out. Definitely read through the solicitations in their entirety and make sure that you are in your responses providing all of the information that has been requested. I think it was a very good suggestion to kind of go back and look at some of the older solicitations that we've put out for some of the same or similar um, uh, whatever for whatever we're soliciting, whatever service we're soliciting. You can go back. We do post all that information on our website as well. The tabulations and all that information that Lori went over. So I think she brought up some really good points in hers. So those are the things that I think you should take from it.
Alrighty. And Lori, if you want to add to that.
One thing Tamika did bring up that I think is very important. Most of the time when evaluators are reviewing your response, little things get your score down. So if you forget a form, for example, if you don't read what's in the solicitation, I know that sounds basic, but what she's saying is most people lose out on an opportunity just for not reading or understanding what is being asked of, or they haven't provided. And so I would really take a look at taking time to do that. And what happens is sometimes for bigger firms, they have a marketing and business development team. But for some firms, it's the person actually doing the work, filling it out. Either way, we see errors. And it's just by taking the time, most of the time, not coming to a pre-bid conference or pre-submission conference, because that's where you get some tidbits. And like I said, now that a lot of things are virtual, even if you aren't able to, you may be able to go back and look at the video and then take time and say, oh, make sure I do this, because most of the time the contract officer will give you little hints during that time. So that's what I would do. I would really make sure reading the solicitation, watching or attending the pre-bid or pre-submission conference, and then proofreading what you're submitting. A lot of times people PDF things and half the PDF falls off, and we only can review what we have. And don't assume because Tamika and Lori, they know I've done like 20 projects with them. We only can review what you submit. So if your submittal is 10 pages and you forgot all your key staff, we only can see what's in that solicitation. So that would be my tip.
And can I add just one thing to both of yours? I know which happens at DPS all the time. Make sure when you're bidding on something and you have to submit something that you do it in advance. Don't come at the last minute, 5 minutes before, 30 minutes before, an hour before. You want to make sure you get it in so that you do not miss the opportunity altogether. Because if they don't have anything, they don't have anything to review. So you are passed on, and the next person is up. I do see one question here. As a new property preservation company, just starting out and setting up, my lack of long-term experience and time in business work against me when going for bids. Setting up will my lack of long-term experience and time in business work against me when going for bids. I guess they're trying to say they're a new company. They're not established like other companies, and so they don't have a lot of experience, nor do they have a lot of business work. Is that going to go against them, or?
I'll
Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, I'll take a first stab. I was going to say there's one thing in having experience in your business. So if I opened up Lori's company today, I may not have a lot of experience then, but my work experience in the past, that may be housed in your resume. So however you became a property preservation person, those things should be in some type of narrative where the people who are reading it can understand. The company may be new, but your experience might be vast. So just think about a way to present that a little differently than an experienced firm would do.
Mm-hmm. And I would definitely say nothing beats a try, but a try but not trying. So I wouldn't say that it would be held against you. I would say definitely, put your best foot forward. Look for any opportunities to perhaps be a subcontractor to another prime so you can get some, hands-on experience. But definitely I would say go for it and try, and kind of like Lori said, point out what experience you do have, make that kind of your focal point, even though, the business may be new. But yeah, I would definitely encourage you to, try to, get that experience with submitting, proposals, bids, or whatever. Go through that process. That's experience in itself for when, you have more experience later on, and will only help you to, put together a stronger proposal as time goes on, as your experience increases.
Just to piggyback on that, one thing I just want to add is if you're not successful, I would always ask for a debrief.
Mm-hmm.
The contract officers can tell you, hey, these are some things we saw in your interview, or you forgot these things. That way you can learn, like she said, if you try one time, it's not successful, find out where your pitfalls were,
Mm-hmm.
from their perspective, and it will help you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We have one more question. The person says they're a certified MBE company that is in an emerging industry, which is solar. We currently in the process of bidding on a sister agency RFP. However, I don't believe there would be any bid history data available. What would you suggest in bidding for the RFP to gain past bid limits?
For any of those, there's a couple electric cars. There's a lot of things that are coming out. One thing you could look at is the cost of the panel itself. What is the market for the actual commodity? That way, you'll at least know how much the device or commodity is going for. And then most people will know how much markup you're putting on. So if the market says solar panels cost, I'm going to just use something easy, $10 per panel that are typically 12 by 12, then if you charge, $20, they know that you're doing 50/50. So there's a couple of things you could do, even if it's a new market. And trust me, the contract officers are doing the same research you're doing, so they'll know if your price is you're getting a 50% markup or 5% markup. So those are just some tips I think you would look at.
Mhm. And definitely, do some reach. I know it is a new market, but we've done some solar solicitations as well. So definitely, you could check our website for that. We have, I believe we did a RFP maybe in 2021 for some solar developers. So you can kind of look at that information, look at different agencies to see if they have done some solar solicitations in the recent past.
All right. I think this was a great session. Thank you, ladies. I want to first thank Tamika Carson from the Chicago Housing Authority and Lori Lipson from the Public Building Commission for joining us today in an active dialogue and discussion about how to do business with their entities. We hope that you have gained as much knowledge about their agencies and are able to go back and plan and try to secure some of the opportunities that they have available. I definitely want you to know that we do these sessions quite often and the sister agencies change. So if you want to know about additional assist agencies, just go to our website, www.chicago.gov/DPS events, and it will give you more information on that. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, participants. We know that you have a choice to hear presentations all over. We hope that you are moving in the right direction and you're getting the information that you need from us so that you can do business with these great city and government entities. So with that said, I would like to say both of you stay safe, stay well, and make sure that our participants are following as well. So hopefully all of us can be in the room together at some time soon so that we can network and have these conversations and dialogue with you in person. Have a great and wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.